Oh, this is gross. Not used to just talking. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jaci Butler. If you're new here, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to turn on that post notifications bell. Also, shout out to Lucky Charms of the day. And just so you guys know, I'm gonna start doing Instagram followers as Lucky Charms of the day. So make sure you follow my Instagram and that you are active on there. I post every other day, so you have a chance at getting Lucky Charm. I feel weird today. I'm out of my element. Today's not gonna be my typical video. Normally, I'm super... Oh, this is weird. Normally I do challenges or fun things with my friends, or vlogging, which is one of my favorite things to do, or music, which that's coming soon, hopefully. But today I thought I'd do something a little different and talk to you guys about something that is a big part of me. I don't really like to let it define me, but it is a big part of me. And I've been, for lack of a better word, struggling with it more recently. And I feel like we are a family. The Lucky Charms are not just, you guys aren't just numbers or follower count. You guys are like family and like a support system to each other. So I thought I would talk about some of my struggles with you guys today in hopes of helping you with yours. And I feel the best way to do that is by being open about who I am and the different things that go on in my life. So that's what we're doing today. And yeah, I hope you guys, for lack of a better word, enjoy this video. Or at least get something out of it or learn something out of it. As many of you guys know, because because I do like to be open about things with you guys, and I've mentioned it in several of my videos before, I've just never gone in a lot of depth about it, is that I have OCD, otherwise known as obsessive compulsive disorder. And with that comes with anxiety. I've had OCD my whole entire life. I was diagnosed with it at the age of 15 or 16, I believe. And lately I've just been feeling it more. OCD kind of does that. If you have obsessive compulsive disorder, it kind of comes in waves. When I'm on less sleep, or if I'm more stressed out, different things can trigger it. Lately, I've been feeling it more, and this by any means is not a video of me trying to complain about anything, because I feel like I have absolutely no right to complain about anything. I'm incredibly grateful for all the people around me, all of you guys, getting to do what I love and share it with everyone through TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and making my music, which hopefully will be coming soon. So by no means do I feel like I have it bad, because I know that there's people way worse off than I could be. I don't by any means want this to come off as me sitting here, oh, woe is me. I just want to make a video to kind of express these feelings and these problems I have, because OCD is a mental disorder and anxiety comes along with that, so as to help anyone out there that's also having these problems. But again, by no means am I like, oh, my life sucks because of this. Everyone has struggles and everyone has different things that they have to go through in life, and I know this is just one of those things that I have to go through. Anyway, I think a lot of why I'm feeling the stress of my OCD and anxiety spiking recently is because I do absolutely love what I do, but I also am stressing over my music and wanting to get that out there to you guys. And music is my biggest form of how I express myself and how I express the feelings that I'm going through with my OCD and anxiety. So I think with not working on that as much, I've kind of stifled myself in my head, which by no means does that mean that I'm going to slow down on doing YouTube videos and TikToks and making content. I think it just means that I need to focus more on making my music along with that, on top of that. And I think I've just gotten kind of stuck in a rut of not wanting to write Oh, this is so weird talking about this on camera. I think I've just gotten stuck in a rut of not putting out my music and not talking about it as much and not putting out stuff like that as much because I've gotten comfortable with not opening up. I've gotten comfortable with not being vulnerable and emotional when it comes to my biggest form of expression, which is music. So a lot more of that will be coming soon. But anyways, let's get into what OCD and anxiety is about. By no means am I a doctor or anything, so you know, if you have legit questions about OCD, anxiety, depression, all these different things, please make sure you talk to someone, a healthcare professional, and you can also go online. I'll put some links below in the description for those of you who feel like you're struggling or need to talk to someone. Okay, so the official OCD definition, which I'll pop it up here for you guys, is a type of mental illness, obsessive compulsive disorder. People with OCD have either obsessive thoughts and urges for compulsive repetitive behaviors. Some have both obsessions and compulsions. A big percentage of people have OCD tendencies. But like I said, a little history about me. I was diagnosed with it when I was about 15 or 16, but they said that I had probably had it my whole life. I went to therapy for it for about 2 years, from the time that I was 16 until I graduated high school. And the therapy worked really well. I went to an OCD specialist, and he was actually a psychologist. He worked with me weekly on different things to combat my OCD. A lot of it had to do with me finishing school, and I was freaked out about that. I was homeschooled the last few years of my high school so that I could travel with my band, which was on tour. And I think it being a self-paced program, it freaked me out. Even though I did finish on time, I actually finished a little bit early. It freaked me out knowing that I was responsible for doing my schooling, if that makes sense. It was this thing in my head. It was freaking me out about getting everything done and wanting to do what I wanted to do in my life and career, making money, all of these things, which made my OCD spike. Now, when people think OCD, they think, you know, flicking the light switch off a certain number of times before you go to bed, or washing your hands compulsively, which are things that people do with OCD. Some of my biggest things when I was around that age, going to therapy, that my doctor helped me combat were things like washing my hands. I used to wash my hands so much, and this was even when I was little. I would wash my hands so much that they would start to bleed, especially in the winter because my skin would be drier. So it wasn't about washing my hands just because they were dirty. It was anytime I felt stressed or upset, I would go wash my hands because that would make me feel in control of things. That's what a lot of people with OCD are doing, essentially. You're obsessing over something that's stressing you, so you get compulsions to do things that you have control over. At my parents' house, I had a certain spot on the couch that I couldn't sit on unless I was in completely clean clothes. If I had gone out of the house even for a second and came back in, I couldn't sit on that spot in the couch. If I did, or if someone else sat in my spot that didn't know that it was my spot, I had to clean it immediately. I had certain pairs of underwear that I had to wear on certain days. I had certain socks that I had to wear when I performed on stage, or else I didn't feel like I could perform correctly. These are all things that I worked through when I went to therapy, and I was super grateful for my doctor. Like I said, he was a psychologist, so he couldn't prescribe me medication, but he could work through things with me to try to combat these things. The thing was, is even as I was combating through these things, new things were popping up with my OCD that was hard for me to control. So I ended up going to a psychiatrist, which a psychiatrist can prescribe medication. So with my OCD came a lot of anxiety because of these tendencies and these compulsive tendencies, because of all these obsessions I had. The best way to describe having OCD is someone with OCD, there's literally a part of their brain that works differently than someone's brain without OCD. Most humans that don't have OCD have, let's call it a switch in their brain, that when a bad thought comes into your head, for example, when I was really young, which I found out later was a sign of having OCD, I was deathly afraid of tornadoes. It was a legit phobia. I would go outside on a day that had clear skies and maybe one cloud in the sky, and I would be freaking out, asking my mom and dad if a tornado was coming. Now, I lived in Texas in Tornado Alley, so obviously that's probably where the fear stemmed from. But the problem was I shouldn't have been having these thoughts on a beautiful day. For example, most people are a little afraid of tornadoes, I would say. So someone without OCD can walk outside on a stormy day even and be like, oh, I hope a tornado doesn't happen. I hope a storm doesn't happen. And then they can flip their switch and push that thought out of their mind. Someone with OCD, like myself, will think that thought and then try to flip the switch, and the switch doesn't work. When you have OCD, that's where the obsession part comes into. Because instead of having a bad thought and then just being able to push it out of your head, that bad thought keeps replaying and repeating over and over and over again in your head. It can be something as big as, is the world gonna end today, to something as small as, oh my God, am I gonna be late to my next meeting? It doesn't matter. Those thoughts turn into an obsession. And because you start obsessing over those things, because you can't flip that switch off, and the thought keeps happening and growing inside your head, that's where the compulsions come into. Because you can't control the thoughts in your head as much as you try, but you can control things like who sits on your spot on the couch. You can control things like how many times a day you wash your hands. You can control things like, I have to wear this pair of socks. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, I was doing really good with therapy after those 2 years, but I still was having new compulsions come up. And it was still a struggle for me to get those things out of my head. So I went to a psychiatrist and she prescribed me a medication for my OCD and anxiety. Now, where the anxiety comes in is I was getting so stressed out with having OCD and how it was affecting my relationships with my friends, affecting my relationship with my boyfriend at the time, that I was getting panic attacks. So anytime I had these compulsions happen, I would go into this mode of a panic attack and end up in tears, or repeating something over and over again in an argument, or just freezing up and not being able to get done what I needed to get done, whether that be schoolwork or my music, etc. She prescribed me a medication, and I've been taking it now for about 8 years, and it helps me. What a lot of people don't understand is just because I'm on medication, that medication didn't just make the OCD go away. It didn't make the anxiety go away. The best way to explain it is that it gives me a split second in my head to realize when I start having an obsession that this is the OCD, it's not you. It's still up to me to try and control that, to put it out of my head and say, okay, Jackie, this is not you, this is the OCD, get it out of your head. It doesn't make it necessarily easier to do so, it just gives me the awareness of it. It slows down the process of the obsessions just slightly, so that someone with OCD, it can act almost as that switch. It doesn't turn it off, it doesn't turn the thoughts off for you, but it gives you the ability to be like, these aren't my thoughts, these are the OCD's thoughts. And that's one thing I've learned too with OCD, is it's not you. You don't say, oh, I'm OCD, like a lot of people say. You say, I have OCD. You don't let it define you. Just like you can't let anxiety define you, you can't let your depression define you. Don't let these things define you. And that's what the biggest thing of why I wanted to talk to you guys about this, because like I said, I've been struggling with it more, and I think just this stress of, I don't really know what it is, to be honest. Just the stress of always feeling behind. And like I said, I literally have no complaints, and I feel almost uncomfortable about wanting to open up about these things, because I don't want anyone to think, oh, you have it so good, why do you have anything to complain about? OCD is a part of me, and it's gonna be a part of me for the rest of my life, but that doesn't mean it has to define me. And no matter where you are in your life, I don't feel it matters what your status is in the world or what your life is like. Anyone can suffer from a mental disease or a mental disorder. And I think that's something we need to look at in our society, is people of all different shapes, sizes, colors, orientation, background, our friends, our family. If you're a student, if you're a kid, if you're a teacher, if you're a YouTuber, not even talking about myself necessarily, if you're a musician, if you're a doctor, if you're a plumber, anyone can have a mental disorder, and it doesn't matter how good their life is or how good their life may appear. It's something inside you. It's not something that, oh, you're just doing and you need to get over. The same goes for depression, with people saying, oh, just stop being sad. So if you are struggling from something, or think you may be struggling from something, don't be afraid to talk to someone. Don't be afraid to get help. That's part of the reason that I wanted to talk with you guys about it, because I feel like I do have a platform. If I can help one person through something they're going through because of the experiences I've gone through, then I know I can make a difference. I'm not an extremely emotional person. I keep things very bottled up, and I don't like to talk about things. I don't open up to people a lot, not even my closest friends a lot of times. So talking about this with you guys is a big deal for me, and so I thank you guys so much for listening. Ugh, I feel like I've just been talking forever, and I feel like this video is super boring, and I hope if just one person out there gets something from it, then I'm elated. OCD's, it's always gonna be there in my head. And I know that I have to work through it every day, but I have a good support system. I have you guys, the lucky charms. I have my friends, my family, and I thank you guys for that more than you will ever know. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening to me rant on about OCD and what it means to have it today. I'll be back next week with some more fun stuff. Feel free to talk to me in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. Like I said, I'll list some links in the description to learn more about OCD, anxiety, and other mental disorders. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love y'all so much. Make sure to subscribe to the rest of Soup Group, Our Fire, and Cloud Talk, and I will see you guys later. Bye! Thanks so much.
Color me red, color me blue, color me anything you choose. Color me you, color me, color me, color me green, color me.
Okay, that's made my anxiety spike. Okay.